Welcome to the V12 podcast. The #1 podcast in SC. V12.
We are back. It's your boy Bird Daddy, joined right here by Prince Mazzani, and it's another episode of the epic, legendary V12 podcast. Today we are joined by legendary staple in Columbia, South Carolina hip hop artist, producer, engineer, master of ceremonies, Master SPLINTA, formerly known as Fat Rat Design. What's going on, my guy?
Thank you for having me, man.
And he's joined by equally legendary, talented producer, Mitty Mark. What's going on, my guy?
Not much, man. Good to be here.
How y'all fellas feeling today, man?
It's a beautiful Sunday, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm going for it. Sun's out. I think I saw a few sundresses on the way here.
You know they say sun's out, buns out. Right?
Yeah, hey. I ain't want to say it, but I appreciate you for finishing the sentence for me. Nah, ladies out, everybody feeling good, looking good.
Right.
I'm gonna take this. I'll take this in October.
Yeah, that South Carolina weather got you crazy. You see how I put on my my nice little swanky jacket, preparing for it to be cool outside, and I come outside and I'm almost sweating.
Yeah, it's heating up.
Yes, sir. So, Fat Rat, man. I wanted to jump out the gate, man, because you shocked the world when you announced that you were changing your name to Master SPLINTA.
It's true.
For you to be such a staple in Columbia hip hop, that name is just as synonymous with Columbia hip hop as anything else is. So, why the name change?
Well, you know, and that's a really good question and observation. As we were speaking a little bit before off camera, when you had a name for so long, it's oftentimes going to be very hard to detach yourself from it, especially in other people's eyes, even if the artist himself has. So we're going through a really slow transition of that because I know that would be a lot all at one time. But there's two main reasons. I think after this last break I took, with my first break, where I just wasn't putting out music, I was still recording it. I think when I came back, or when I decided I wanted to come back with more music, my place in hip hop is different. And I think that as I was a student of martial arts in my youth, there's something to the term master, you know? And although on American soil, it can have a lot of different meanings or subliminal meanings. Right. I'm drawing more from the martial arts perspective, and as a master, I don't know how much I'll be engaging as I did in my youth with the art of hip hop or the art of rap. But I do know that I'll be there to do my best to guide the future generations as I have been doing, and I'm kind of settling into that. I think I spent a lot of time with them, and then leading them, and then with them, and now from this kind of bird's eye view, so to speak, I just want to not oversee hip hop, but I just want to leave room and also be there to guide and teach, because that's where I'm at now, with a lot more outside of just the music, but the business of music and just the business of life for young people that want to be in entertainment. Right.
And because, you know, Czar has kind of similar connotations. Right. Being like, you know, the best, the top level. But I kind of get it, though, because as a czar, you're more actively in it.
You're a ruler. And at that time when I added Czar to my name, because I didn't start out as Fat Rat Czar. More people probably met me during that era, but I started out as just Fat Rat. And we were moving more in the streets at that time. So that name to me was a little bit soiled when it came to my music. I couldn't shake it, so I added to it. You know, and I was claiming at that time, you know, and that's also, you know, you think of a czar, and oftentimes he's a you know, in times of war, you know, you need a real leader, and I felt like at that time in my life, when I was much younger, it was a war for hip hop around South Carolina in terms of expression. Not necessarily what it sounds like, but are people really expressing themselves and giving something to the art? Or are we just going to keep replicating the same thing? Like, where's the originality, you know? So as Azar, I was saying, I'm kind of going to be the warlord leading a new idea.
Yeah.
But I think the war was won. I mean, and not that that was a point of pride, but I think ultimately I just saw Columbia blossom in those years.
Yeah.
You know? And during those years where I was fighting, and the fight really wasn't against artists, it was just against a music system that was shutting out originality and you know, just kind of promoting people to copy and sound like this, instead of our ears being open to welcome something that might be new we're not familiar with yet, you know?
Right, man. And when you say fight and battle, like, I mean, I can attest, man, there's like you have transcended a level that I really don't think really any other hip hop artist or act has done in Columbia or in South Carolina. Like, you are embraced and accepted by the other side, and you know, being politically correct, you understand what I'm saying. And I don't see really any other hip hop act or artist that has done that, to be you know, the face of hip hop. Like, if you ask, you know, government people or South Carolina institutions, Columbia institutions, what hip hop in Columbia or South Carolina looks like, you're almost 80, 90, 100% of the time gonna hear your name. So, you know, how did you kick that door down? Like, how was it?
Man, I'm just gonna put that on age. I don't think I was trying to, but you know, it, like anybody who adopts any part of a hustler mentality, like, nobody should be able to tell you where you're gonna get money at. You know what I'm saying? So I like to say that it was a grand plan.
Yeah.
But it was like, we worked the clubs when I was in my 20s. A lot of people don't realize I was 30 years old when I went solo. So I was 29 at that point. I've been in a group for many years.
Yeah.
And we worked clubs and radio and all that. But at 30, you know, and a father, at that time in my career, I'm trying to go where I can be received, and I'm knocking on any door to get received. I just saw that there are musicians playing live music, and this may be the bigger thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't ever received on radio, and so to get some greenbacks out of the situation so that my dream can stay alive, or my goals rather, I don't use the word dream, but so my goals can stay in front of me, I needed to figure out where to play live.
Yeah.
And I knew that that was going to be that was an advantage for me, because we started out in our era of hip hop. You didn't go to the studio first. Like, somebody had to say you knew how to rap, first of all. And that usually was proven in a few ciphers. And then at some point, you'll be in a place where somebody hand you a microphone.
Right.
It took a lot of you having to get people from not liking you, to liking you.
Invited into
Right, you got to get invited. And so my strength was live. So when I looked at the live realm, the nightclub, I wasn't as attracted to, because we had done it. But when I would go to the music venues in town, I didn't see no hip hop.
Yeah.
And I see guys throwing down 25, 30 minute, 45 minute sets, doing what they love, selling merchandise, and they don't have a song on the radio. That looked a lot more like where I was at, you know. Outside of, I wasn't playing 45 minute sets yet, but the way they operated was what I would consider real independence, you know. And in that real independence, they didn't depend on, they depended on people liking them enough to pay a ticket to come see them. They didn't depend on the radio station. If they got spins, cool. They made money because they could convince a promoter to book them at this price, and they could back that up by people coming in the door, and I was just fascinated with it. So part of the reason I penetrated some different areas was because I had to know how to do that.
Right.
I had to figure that out. And luckily I had a few rock bands along the way that would pick me up as an opener. And even if they paid me $100 at that time, all I could see was I'm gonna get to their 600 fans.
Right.
So give me $100, let me warm it up for 10 minutes.
Right.
But that turned into, hey man, that's exciting for our show. Can we take you on tour? Can we, and it was cool enough for me to be in a lane where it seemed kind of limitless how much money I could make. Because you perform in front of 600 people the first time, you sell 5 t-shirts.
Right.
If 100 of them like you, come back again, you'll sell 50 of them, And
so basically, you found the lane.
Yeah, you want to get in there.
Embraced you.
Yeah, you want to
and could make you money.
That's the thing. You got to go where people are appreciative.
Right.
And that's in life.
Right.
So the nightclub scene, as much as I loved it, I think I was transitioning out of it too.
Right.
So I'm getting to a certain age where it's like, I might hang out at a bar, maybe I might hit a strip club, but in terms of putting on clothes and being ready for a 3-hour night at the club. So I transitioned more into music venues, and I think my fascination for why is this dude on the microphone and not me? Even if it is a rock band, or jazz, or whatever, like if all that's there, then I need to be on the stage here. And trying to figure that out, I ended up kind of pulling from some new places to get a fan base.
Right. So, I think that's dope, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And you also provide platforms for other artists and things as well.
I try to, yeah. I did.
I recall a couple of years back. Now, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a group that you were promoting or putting together, right?
New SC. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I think y'all put a project together and it had different artists from all over the state and stuff like that. So is that something that you still actively are going to be doing now that you're transitioning into Master?
It's hard to say, only because at this age, and this is probably a great segue to bring Mark in. Over the COVID times, I had a chance to reevaluate some of where my contributions are best made, right? And so it's hard to say what I'll do next in the realm of working with artists. I do know I'll be working with them. I had a great time with New SC, and I love all of them very dearly. And they went on to pursue their solo careers, Lalisa Cole Connor and Chad and Heezy Heen, Perf and Ram Bruce. But that was such a special time. I don't know if I want to revisit something that looks like that.
Yeah.
But it may have some of those features, but just in a different capacity. Like I'm working with some new artists now, but those were the trenches. I think me and Mark in those days were learning how to produce records for other people sincerely in a way that we give them their own sound, and we wasn't just giving them our sound. It had a touch of us, but figuring out how to groom an artist to blossom. And I think during that time we learned how to do that pretty good in that time, So I don't know what it looks like for me working with artists now, but I am very passionate about artists getting money. So I teach music business at Midlands Tech, and I've been over there. Yeah, so I teach music for the Midlands Audio Institute, which is the music arm of continuing education for Midlands Tech. I teach all of the classes, all except for music theory and digital music production. But I specialize, my class is actually music business, and I've developed a passion over the years seeing kids get excited about making money. Because it's not about money, but it is, it's that fine line.
Almighty dollar, man.
Right, yeah.
World, man.
You don't want to get so crazy that everything you make, you don't want the money to necessarily tamper with the art, but I do encourage artists to, once you make the art, take that hat off, take that creative hat off, and put on a creative hat that says, how can we be creative about making some money with what we made? I don't advise that stuff coming to the studio, because then you just start making records because you think they're going to be hits instead of making art. Right. You want to make art because that's what people are going to connect with. You make the right record art-wise, you'll be doing it for the next 30 years. But if you keep trying to chase a hit, that's a little different. Not saying you won't get it, but the sustainability. We've heard a lot of songs in the last 15 years that it just sounded like something else. Right. Those begin to fall by the wayside. We just go with the top one. Right. But when you're making art, whether or not everybody gets on it at that time, I try to encourage people, make the art that's close to your heart, but then you got to disconnect from it a little bit. Because then sometimes people get so personal about it. Make it be personal while you're recording it, but then put that business hat on, you know? And I'm passionate about kids making money because when I was coming along, they didn't even think this was a career, you know? It was like, you want to do what? Are you a musician? Like, yeah, I'm a rapper. No, you're not a musician, so how you gonna make money? Now, you know, we are the parents of young hip hoppers. So when my son, I was telling Mark today, my son sent me a beat a few months ago. Outside of me just being flat out shocked that it was hard body, I was like, that's pretty good because I never encouraged him to get into music. I'm also a father that can receive that in a way that my father was disconnected from hip hop. You know what I'm saying? He from the Motown era, so I come in there beating on the drum machine, and he like, yeah, either you gonna be a musician or not. This ain't music.
well, yeah, I wanted to ask you though, because you touched on something just a second ago when you were talking about art and you know, the difference between you know, trying to chase a hit. And this is kind of for both of you guys, because both of you guys work in the realm of music still currently. I'm sure you've seen that the hip hop sales are like really in the dump. We had maybe one #1 song, and it was Doja Cat, I think. #1 song this year for a hip hop song, and it was Doja Cat, and this was like, you know, 6-7 months in the year. We had one hip hop album go #1, or maybe two. I know the first #1 was Lil Uzi.
Okay.
Gunna didn't even go #1.
Gunna didn't go #1.
Uzi went #1, and I think Doja Cat might have went #1, but you know, that's almost unheard of in the past. So do you think that the artistic element of hip hop is being lost? Is that why it's like that? Is everybody going in chasing hits?
And when I turn, every once in a while, like I'll chime in on like other genres of music. You know what I mean? Like recently, like listening to country radio. They got trap drums.
I was just talking to Mo about
this. This is like I'm talking about like mainstream, not even like hip hop or whatever, but like mainstream top 40 radio country got trap drums in it.
Right.
So now it's like I'm wondering if people don't necessarily have to, like before, like if you needed that hip hop fix, there was only one place you could go, which was to the culture.
Right.
But now, like that little bit of, man, I need this fix or whatever, like that sound or whatever, like country got trap drums. You know what I mean? Like
that's
this
crazy.
person, this person.
I literally just told Mo that, like right before y'all got here, country has trap drums in it.
But you know, whether they want to admit to it or not, you know what I mean? Like that's hip hop. You know what I mean? Like hip hop is the reason why they even had an idea or a thought, like, hey, we could put this in our songs or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like maybe, you know, technically the genre isn't doing #1s, whatever, but like just the impact of the music and the culture, like it's all over the place. You know what I mean? Like it's touched every part of the world, and so it's there. So they're not gonna give the credit for it. You know what I mean? But you know, it's still in there. So yeah, it's not #1, but it's still #1.
Yeah, and I mean, in that sense, that is a positive way to look at it, as a win for the culture. But for the music, you know, hip hop heads, people who rap like me, like you, right? You know what I'm saying? People who make old school hip hop beats, or people who look for like something that touches you and moves you.
I'm gonna tell you a win for hip hop. Lauryn Hill, I got it pulled up. Lauryn Hill sets a record for the highest grossing concert by a female rapper this year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that goes back to what you were saying, where when you create art, that shit lasts 30, 40 years.
She got one album.
You know what I'm saying?
The second album is a live album.
Yep.
She's still performing off of one album.
But that's another testament to what's going on, man. You got artists that are newer and having to cancel shows and performances because people aren't trying to see that. Is it because the artistry is gone? And you have artists like Lauryn Hill and 50 Cent who are on tour right now, booking and selling out stadiums because people are wanting to see and feel what is missing from hip hop.
Well, you said it right there. See and feel. You know, nowadays people have levels of engagement that are pretty much determined via social media. So it was no question 20 years ago if a rapper came to town, we just went to the show. how much hip hop we gonna be able to see live. You know, I don't care who it is, Scarface, Snoop Dogg, 8-Ball, MJG, Tila. I done been to every hip hop concert you could think if it came to Columbia, because we didn't get that much of it. So all the artistic expression we were happy to see. In this new generation, one thing, and I picked this up for my son, he like went through a money bag yo phase, and
you trying to rap like him, or
no? He just listened to it.
Okay.
So he's a fan first, and he was his money bag yo all summer. You know, he'll play money bag yo, I'll play Nipsey Hussle. You know, that was our. That's kind of what
that's a battle.
we met. We met. That was our best version of meeting in the middle. I like money bag yo enough, and he likes Nipsey enough, so we all right. Okay. These two. But I would notice when I walked past his room door sometimes, or frequently, I would hear J. Cole. So I'd ask him, I said, how you go from listening to Moneybagg Yo all day to wanting to listen to this? He was like, why just listen to that for turn up, Dad? I listen to J. Cole because, you know, when I'm thinking about things. And I think that that's so much different than when I was 19, you know, like we just listened to the artist very completely. Yeah. But that told me that he'll pay for some things and won't pay for others, which brings me to the point of, I think on the levels of engagement, people are cool with watching the music video. They'll run it up to 10 million views. They'll listen to it on streaming services. But when you're talking about paying hard-earned money, right? Yeah. And do I want to be in the company of other people who like this? You know, something real crazy. You can enjoy that in your living room, but if you're going to be in there with 15,000 more people that may act a little bit more like what they're seeing, maybe you don't want to consume it in that way. So I think people just have their levels of engagement. I like it. Am I going to pay for it? Nah. But we're in a streaming era now, so you can kind of listen to whatever without being. When you bought a tape back in the day, even if you really ain't like it, you listen to it. You know, because you was invested in it.
Well, I was saying that, man, a couple of days ago with my homeboys, like, one of the reasons that albums were listened to more completely back in the day is because you spent $16, $17, sometimes $20, and that was your one album that you had. Like, you might have had a CD case full of other albums, but that was the one that you had new, and you were listening to that for weeks.
If it was bad, you really hated that artist. You would listen till you found some songs that you liked for $16.
That's how I
ended up. So if you couldn't find a song you liked, it was a bad album. Right.
But that's how I ended up liking some of the artists that I like now.
There you go.
Silk the Shocker. I bought a Silk the Shocker album as a fan of No Limit. He couldn't really rap as well as I like him to rap.
Right.
But guess what? I can rap you about five songs on that album. Because I listened to that album. I'm gonna get my $16.
You will get your $16 worth. You know, now you think it out now. A new album come out. Flip. If I don't like first three songs,
it's over. And then on top of that, not only am I not gonna listen to the whole album, but I'm gonna get on the internet and tell everybody who follows me that this album
trash. I may have listened to 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the whole album, and that's 5 30-second flips, or maybe 10 15-second flips. It's gonna be real like short, and you know, it's, you know, you see some of the commentary surrounding Drake's last album. And I don't really listen to too much commentary because I like to listen to an album for myself and make my own determinations.
I like this last album.
But I think a lot of times that's what it is. If it doesn't completely snatch you out your chair in the first 2 seconds, it's been so sensationalized that people can't even, at this point, you should be able to, if you like Drake, you should be able to trust that he's a good enough artist. Maybe let's see where he's at.
Right.
Maybe he doesn't always have to bring it to us. Maybe we need to follow him into his artistic realm, you know?
Right. I don't know how to get the listeners to get back to listening to music more completely. Because listening to an album, and you know, I don't know how much time we have left, but this is a good conversation about hip-hop. Listening to an album, man, for days or weeks, there might be a song that you heard 8 times. And then on the 9th time, you know what? This song is hard.
This hit me.
You know what I'm saying? And it's something it said that hits you, or something about the way the beat changes that hits you on that 9th time. And it's just like that because you listened to it for so long, because that's your only CD that's in your CD player, or your only, you know what I'm saying? So
you gotta trust the artist.
Listeners to do that.
You gotta trust the artist. What you just said, it means I'm gonna keep revisiting because I trust the artist. I don't know if we trust the artists like that anymore. And I have to say I think I do, but I mean listeners and consumers as a whole, I think there's a demand for the artists to give us what we want.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
And I don't care where your growth is taking you. Give me what I want, and because there's such an influx of artists, we don't have to wait anymore.
Right.
We waited for album. Man, I gotta see what this dude's gonna say next album. So we waiting, but in fact, what's happening now is if you don't do it immediately, then what that turns into is we're just listening to somebody else.
Yeah.
You ain't making that. I mean, cause I thought, for instance, Kendrick's album, like artistically, I didn't see that coming. You know,
right.
Which means I'm gonna have to. I remember when I listened to it the first time, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to just save this and keep coming back to it because he went. I didn't see that one coming, right?
Me out of left.
Heavy content.
But you, when you trust the artist, you know there's something in the meaning, right? If you saw a Rembrandt or you saw a Picasso, you wouldn't walk up to it and say trash.
Right.
You would say this is a deep artist, a provocative artist. What do people do? They stand in the gallery and look until
they see what
because you trust the artist.
Right.
He wouldn't be Picasso if it wasn't something in here, right?
Right.
But I think we're taking really good artists and the measurement is lickety split. Mm-hmm. If it's not what I thought you were going to do, or if it isn't what I expected you to do, then I don't know what this is. Matter of fact, forget him. Who's doing what I like? And so it's turned into a real consumer, and that's nothing against the consumer. We've gotten there over time. It's not like the consumer is a bad person, but it may have been the flooding of music, where they just started picking what they wanted instead of building engagement or a relationship with the artists themselves, you know. And I think that's a lot different. You know, I didn't always agree with Tupac's music, but I felt like he's my favorite rapper. But I also felt like if I gave it some time, he made good art. Let me look at it for a minute, because maybe I'm not understanding everything that the artist is going through to fully appreciate what he's saying, you know?
Well, I know that as an artist myself, an artist period, if that's what it's going to take to drive the consumer to listen to us a little bit deeper, then I guess what we need to do is just figure out how to build that trust.
Gotta get that trust back.
And you've done a great job of building that trust with your fan base, which is why you've been able to have such longevity and sustainability. And we really could probably talk all day long about it. You know what I mean?
We're not gonna wrap it up.
Oh, are you gonna keep going where I'm going?
Yeah.
V12 podcast. The #1 podcast in SC. V12.